Welcome everyone to to today's webinar on integrated payments best practices. I still see some people joining here as well, so that's great to see. I'm excited that so many people want to come and learn all about the fun world of payments. Sometimes it's fun and sometimes payments are not fun, and that's kind of what the webinar is about, is how do we make it more fun and less stressful. So with that, we'll kind of run through the agenda here. We're going to go through brief intro. We're going to talk about some challenges. I've spent a lot of time talking to a lot of rental companies about challenges they're facing taking payments every day, so we'll talk a little bit about that. About some areas where they're moving forward towards the integrated payment space and kind of why that is, and some of the benefits that they can achieve from that. We all know credit cards can be a little bit risky, but I'm going to outline a little bit more about that for those who aren't as familiar. And then we're going to talk about how you can supercharge your operations with integrated payments. So after that, I'll go into a Texada Pay demo, show some use cases where it's really impactful to your rental operations. And then we'll kind of sign off with a little bit of an offer here. So if you do have any questions, I believe the Q&A function is active. We may or may not be able to get to them today. But if you do have any questions, do ask them. We'll make sure that we do a follow-up for you guys as well to make sure that this is as informative and as useful for you as possible. So with that, I'm Adam Krupp. I'm head of product management here at Texada, coming up on 9 years. And I love talking about payments because I know how hard rental companies work every single day in order to get the equipment fixed in time, to get it transported to the customer site, to get the salespeople out on the road, getting those deals done. And all of that falls flat if you don't get paid. At the end of the day, as equipment rental operators, we have to get paid if we want to keep growing our business. So some of the things I've heard from talking with customers, have you ever found yourself like telling a person who calls in, they say, hey, I want to rent a skid steer. Obviously, they can't transport that skid steer themselves. And maybe they're like a weekend warrior DIYer, and you say, okay, like, thanks for that order, but because you haven't done business with us before, you have to come into the branch, and we do need you to come in so you can actually put down the deposit, or so we can capture a card in the branch. So if you ever found yourself kind of introducing that like friction point when the customer's already said yes to the rental, but then you add that additional step, or have you ever spent a lot of time trying to find those stored credit cards that you've taken from customers? Hopefully you are storing them in a secure way, but having got to dig through all of those pieces of paper and find the one that's right for that customer. Have you ever done that? Or what about all that time you spend chasing unpaid invoices for those cash customers that maybe couldn't pay right at time, or they had somebody else drop it off, and now you're calling around trying to find that invoice payment? Have you ever had to deal with any of those things? Because I'm sure you have, because I've heard it from many customers before. So one of the big shifts here as well is that customers, in a world where everything's online, in a world where they have the ability to do stuff themselves, there's a lot more expectations that they want to be able to do everything digitally. So they want to be able to pay their deposits online, or they want to be able to pay off their invoices online by themselves, where your team doesn't have to chase them. Customer can't really pretend that they didn't receive the invoice if they have access to the portal, and they're able to view and pay those invoices right there. And they're like, I already gave you a deposit. Why didn't you have the card then, so that when I do the return, you already have that information? So customers' expectations are growing a lot. A lot of digitization is happening in our industry, and we want to be able to provide our customers with the best experience possible. The other big piece of this as well is that payment reconciliation can get messy. If you're not using an integrated payment solution, you generate the invoice in SRM, and then you have to type in the amount into your credit card terminal. And then once that is done, you have to say, okay, was that MasterCard? Was that Visa? Was that Amex? Make sure the amount's right and put that into SRM side. So with an integrated payment solution, with Texada Pay, it's always the right amount. It's always the right method every time. Before, one of our customers, before they had Texada Pay, they have over 50 branches. And they used to have a person spend an entire morning, every morning, just going through and finding, okay, which branch didn't settle properly? Are they off by like dollars or hundreds of dollars? Is one method payment higher than the other? And, okay, this was actually MasterCard, but they put Visa. or did they change, $69 and then $96 when I typed it, or vice versa? They spent a lot of time doing that reconciliation, and they were quite happy when they were able to cut down that really not value additive time when the reconciliations were bang on. And the last piece here is, like I said before, everyone wants to get paid on time. It's the money we need in order to buy more equipment, to be able to serve our equipment, to be able to serve our customers, and being able to capture the card at the beginning of the transaction, run through your entire business. You take the deposit, then you send it the delivery, you do the rental, you pick it up, you do the rental return, you pay it off, or you refund part of a deposit if it's a deposit amount greater than the customer amount. You can do all this with the integrated payment solution of Texada Pay. Last piece I want to talk about here is really kind of dial in a little bit about the risks of taking credit cards as a business. So we know that there's tons and tons of credit card providers out there, and that there's always people calling us and trying to get us to switch. But the reality is, if they're not integrated with your main rental system, you're going to end up with something like this. This is obviously not a picture from a customer's site, but looks very familiar from the customers that I visited in their operations there. So, if you are taking a credit card, you do have a responsibility as part of your merchant services agreement, and you have to be storing those credit cards in a securely stored area with access restrictions. So what this means is you can't enable just anybody to get to it. So some customers feel that like just using a filing cabinet, maybe that's enough. But who has the keys, and how do you know if somebody did or didn't access that? So then you need a camera, and then you need to be able to audit who actually, they have to sign when they actually accessed it, and they have to sign when they've stopped accessing it. It's a really messy world, because the problem is that if there was a breach of your credit card information that a customer has entrusted you with, there could be a lot of liability. And even without a breach in which a customer calls you up and says, hey, I last used my credit card at ABC Rentals, and now, I see charges at Amazon or all over the place. It's not just that can be an issue. Even if you were to ever get audited, there is an actual fine for up to $25,000 fine per insecurely stored credit card. So if you have 100 cards, that's $2.5 million in fines, plus it's $1,000 a day fine until it's mitigated. And I'm sure if you Google, credit card breach, there's been many corporations that have become famous for all the wrong reasons when their systems got breached, and many trusting customers who just used their card there, their card was now being used other places, and that's a incredible loss of trust and something that's really hard to come back for as a business, especially as a service-based business like our rental customers are. The good news is that if you are using Texada Pay, that all of the credit card credentials are stored not even with Texada. Like, we have tons of full cybersecurity team. We do all kinds of compliance audits and all this great stuff. But even we don't store the credit card numbers. All we store is a pseudo token. So that credit card information is safely stored in our partners' PCI compliance. They gave us this like 64 character numbers and letters token that we can use for you, or you guys can use to be able to be charge a customer and transition money or transfer money from your customer's card to your bank account. But we don't store it, they store it, they take care of all of those audits and stuff like that. Enables you to be able to do things like capture a card and then be able to use it and not have to worry about all the liabilities and the risks that come with collecting those cards. One other note as well is that I use the word cards a lot because that's like the most common thing that people think about, but it does also apply to ACH or EFT or direct debit, depending on which region you're in, but basically the ability to do a direct bank withdrawal as well. So credit cards do carry a little bit higher processing fee than a direct bank transaction. So you are able to do it as a bank transaction alternatively as well. All right. So these are just a couple of the pieces where, Texada Pay can really come in for your business. So the number one is faster payments. So there's two parts to that. The first part is that you can be able to capture the card once and you can use it again on future transactions. So I talked a little bit about, you capture the card when the customer comes in. You can also email the customer a copy of the contract with the ability to complete the deposit there from their own device. So they don't have to call in, they don't have to come in. Nobody's typing credit card numbers in, nobody's giving credit cards over the phone. And with that, your customers are able to transact a lot faster with you that way. Plus, like I said, you can use it on rental return. You can use it on subsequent contracts that they're renting with you as well. And you're able to keep moving that way. So the second piece of the faster payments is that, like I talked about before, if the customer is in branch with you, let's say they're just buying some consumables like a hard hat, perhaps, they can be one of those trusted customers that does have their card on file. They can send somebody else in to complete orders for them, and they're able to just say, hey, you guys have my card on file? Great. And they're able to head out much faster. You're not having to take the invoice, type the number into the point of sale system, bring it back over with the right amount and right method, like we talked about. And it's just one click, put the card in, they hit done, it's done in the system, and print the invoice and off you go. So much faster that way. The second big piece here is around those time savings for your AR team. So whether it's cash customers, whether it's those trusted customers, whether it's on account customers that you want to be able to put like a bank account on account for, or put a credit card on account, you want to be able to transact with those customers really quickly and really seamlessly, and then be able to take their payments later on as well. So instead of your AR team constantly following up and calling all over the place, they're actually able to be doing new credit apps, or able to be focusing on those enterprise clients, and be able to be more effective for your organization. And the last piece is with Texada Pay, you can really take money anywhere. So whether it's your customers doing it from themselves through the customer access portal with Gateway, whether they're in the branch, creating an invoice, creating a contract, creating a work order, or they're going through and wanting to be able to do the transactions really wherever they are, they'll be able to do that really at the time they need. So it doesn't matter, anywhere you can take money in SRM, you're able to use Texada Pay instead of the non-integrated solution. So and then the big piece at the bottom there, as I talked about, is the reconciliation and the ability to make that done in minutes instead of hours. All right. So with that, I'm just going to jump in here to show off a little bit of Texada Pay in action. As much fun as it is to listen to me, I'm sure you actually want to see the product. So with that, I will switch over to Gateway. So this is Gateway here. You may be familiar with the e-commerce side where they can generate new rentals. They can also leave the deposits with Texada Pay here as well. But most importantly, I'm going to be talking about is the customer access side. So this is where your customers will be able to go in, they'll be able to do this themselves. They can do this both from a computer or from a mobile device like a tablet or a phone. We're seeing tons and tons of traffic coming from mobile devices, from the field, from the job site as well. So with that in mind, we'll go into our invoices tab here. And so these are all the outstanding invoices for this customer. And you can see that they've got some in current, and it's a really bad customer because they've got lots in the 90 days right now. But all you'd have to do is select some invoices that you want to pay. So we'll grab these three here and we'll click Pay Selected. What this is showing me is just like a final reminder, hey, these are the invoices that you're paying, these are the amounts that you're going to be paying. And then you can use your stored on file payment methods here, or you can add a payment method. So this is the ability to put in a card number. You are also able to allow your customers to be able to put bank information directly in here as well. And if they do enable auto pay for this payment method, it will actually update against their customer file in SRM as well. That's where those method of payments showed up earlier on the previous screen, or those are ones that are accessible from your team if the customer does decide to auto pay it. If they just want to pay these invoices one time, they don't want to keep a card on file, then they have the ability to do that as well. So really, it's super simple. They just select the invoice that they want to pay, and they click that to pay them. They can also review the details of the invoices as well. They can see what the rental, sales, and services were on here, and they can actually download a copy of the invoice exactly as if it was printed and emailed out of SRM. So with the portal, they're able to review those invoices, create an inquiry if they have any questions about it, and then make those payments through Texada Pay as well. So with that, I did also want to show, so this is the view that your customers would have when they're using Gateway in the customer portal. And then I'm also going to show what it looks like for your operation. So if we jump over here, now we're just looking at Texada Web. This is included with your SRM licenses that you already have. You're able to view your open contracts. And if we grab one here, we can see the details of the contract from here as well. And then I just want to direct your eyes down here to the button that says send for deposit. So with this, you're actually able to send an email to the customer where it's actually going to collect the amount from the contract as a deposit. And then you can also be optionally notified if your customer or when your customer has made the deposit to do that. So I'll send this off to myself, and then I'll pull over my email here and dive in. Okay, someone was sent successfully. Perfect. And I'll just pull my screen over here. So this is what the email looks like for this one. So it's requesting the deposit for this contract. This would obviously be your company information at the top here, not the demo company for us, as it is in my environment, but it would show you all that information there. And then if you click the make deposit, it's going to show you the copy of the contract to make sure everything looks correctly here. So this builds a lot of trust with your customers because they'll obviously going to be recognizing your logo. They'll know the format of your contracts and your invoices because this is the actual contract that they're going to be leaving the deposit on. They can review the details of it as they would normally. And as they move in next, they can choose to capture the card. Sorry, they can choose to pay this with credit card or bank account. And again, you want, at the end of the day, as a rental company, there's a lot of advantages to keeping that customer's card on file. So you want to encourage your customers to save it here. And if they save the card on file here, it's going to be, again, stored against SRM, accessible in Gateway. And then if they also choose to opt into autopay, what that does is any customer, what you can do is you can put a cash customer with autopay. Let's say they have a monthly rental, so something like fencing, something like maybe a shipping container, or any other piece of equipment, it doesn't really matter. You can have them set up as autopay customer. When you create the contract for them, you're actually able to cycle bill that cash customer's contract because you already have the card on file. So you can generate 300 contracts with one click of a button. Sorry, generate 300 invoices from contracts with a click of a single button. It will generate those invoices. It will charge those 300 cards, and it'll give you a report at the end that shows you all the invoices that were generated, all the payments that were taken, and the customer receives an email of the paid invoices right there. So today, again, from talking with customers, we had a customer who had to, they'd spend on the first of the month, they'd spend at least the first and possibly the second as well, just calling all their cash customers for payments for contracts they want to keep beyond the month, collect more deposits without Texada Pay, but with Texada Pay, they got those 1 to 2 days back each month because it was all done with a couple clicks. So just want to show off that workflow as well. And then the last piece I'll show here is back at SRM. Again, it's all one continuous set of data. It's all one platform. It's all the same company that I'm using here as well. And with this, I'm going to put in my customer number 1. This is your customer account inquiry. This is where your AR spends a lot of time. I'll scroll down here to some invoices. So the other option here is, so this is an account customer. This is a customer that has some history with us. And you're able to check this box, and now you can email this for payment. So this allows me to, I showed you what it looks like when I send a contract for payment, for a payment on a deposit. This is what you're able to do when you're sending a invoice. So they have multiple invoices, you can send them over to the customer. You do also have the ability to view the payment log, so you can view all of the different payments that customer has made through Texada Pay over a period of time as well. So it gives you a lot of history about the customer, about how they're paying you, and you're able to keep on top of that as well. So As I mentioned, anywhere that you take payments when you're creating a miscellaneous invoice, when you're doing a rental return, the payment methods are going to show you Texada Pay methods as an option there, where you can use either existing card on file or you can actually trigger the customers to pay. So I'll show you one here with a miscellaneous invoice to show you what that looks like. So it's our customer here who owes us lots of money, but it's a demo environment, so we will keep going. So we'll just give them one of our random sales products. Great, $25 perfectly, got a discount. And then now that we're on the invoice total screen, again, same thing shows up, email for payment. That enables you to be able to send an email to the customer and they're able to make the payments that way. You do have the ability, this is an on-account customer, so by default, they're going to be going on account, but I can also go in and choose payment. As soon as I confirm the date, it's going to ask me here, okay, is this a manual entry? So the customer has called in the number. I'm going to be typing it in. Not a best practice, but is an option for some customers. Terminals, that's that physical device that sits on your rental counter today. So if I click terminal, it's going to light up the machine. It's going to try and charge for the full amount here, which is looks like $280. And they're able to automatically charge that. Or I can use a card on file that's already on file, and this particular customer is already on the credit. Or if they're paying cash, of course, you can still take cash. You can still take checks. You can still take maybe gift cards, Texada Pay other cards. You can do that just by going into others. So just want to show what that experience looks like for your customers there as well. And show off that as well. So cool. Just checking my notes here. Looks like I've covered all the main pieces of Texada Pay options there. But really, the takeaway is that it's really ubiquitous throughout the Texada rental platform. Wherever you would expect to take money, you can use Texada Pay to collect that money. So with that, we'll jump back into our presentation here. So just a little bit of a recap here as we're wrapping up. With Texada Pay, you're able to really say goodbye to most of your collection calls because you can take that card on file, take your deposit, use the auto pay with cycle billing, and then charge your balance at rental return as you see fit. Plus, you can use it to just batch pay off a customer's entire account at the end of each month. We have a lot of customers who are doing that with some of their medium-sized on-account customers that they just want to say, hey, we'll give you a great rate. And in exchange for that, we want to be able to just charge all the invoices at the end of each month. And they do that. Customers can pay invoices by email, or they can go through the self-service customer portal with Gateway that I was just showing, and they're able to make those payments there as well. All right, so and the best part, or at least what I think the best part about Texada Pay is that there's no extra recurring fee for Texada Pay beyond what you're probably already paying with credit cards. So processing fees we found are typically very similar to what you're already paying today. Plus, you save all the time through your daily transactions, both for your counter team, your AR team. Your salespeople are happier because they're not having to be the bad guys of following up on some of those invoices as well. And you're able to have that all happen here as well. So with that, we're coming up near the end of time here. So I am going to sign off shortly, but if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to your sales rep. We do, because you attended the webinar, we do have a special offer here as well. So as part of our partnership with Global Payments, they're the credit card backend, one of the biggest credit card processors in the world. And they're providing you with 2 point-of-sale devices for free. Plus, you get 3 months of Texada Gateway if you're not currently already using it. And that's, again, just to recap, our customer portal platform. So if this is something of interest, if you want to learn more, if you want to get a personalized demo where we walk through in your environment, we'd be more than happy to do that. Do reach out to your account manager. If you're not sure who that is, just reach out to sales at texadasoftware.com, and we'd be love to kick that off with you. We've got a month before the end of the year, so we'd love to do that for you. So any other questions, do feel free to reach out. Thank you so much for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you on future webinars.